Live from Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. President Bola Tinubu insists on implementation of new tax laws in January 2026, despite criticism from Nigerians. Court postpones bail hearing, remands former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami and son in Kuje facility. UN Secretary General charges world leaders to prioritize peace over war amid mounting global crisis.
In business, Central Bank of Nigeria projects 4.49% growth in Nigeria's economy for 2026.
And in sports, Nigeria's Super Eagles set up second-round clash against Mambas of Mozambique after beating Uganda to win Group C in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco.
A warm welcome. Tonight begins now. It's 48 hours to year 2026, and President Bola Tinubu has insisted that nothing will stop the implementation of the new tax laws, which is scheduled to begin on January 1. In a statement on Tuesday, the president said the reforms, including those that took effect on June the 26th, 2025, and the remaining acts scheduled to commence on January the 1st, 2026, will continue as planned, while urging all stakeholders to support the implementation phase. President Tinubu said his administration is aware of the public discourse surrounding alleged changes to some provisions of the recently enacted tax laws. He emphasized that his administration is unwaveringly committed to due process and the integrity of enacted laws. To security matters, mixed reactions have trailed the U.S. military intervention in Nigeria's northwest state as some say the attack exemplifies a tactical escalation amid entrenched challenges. They say the move offers a short-term disruption to terrorist networks but fails to address systemic vulnerabilities. The U.S. airstrikes conducted with Nigerian government approval on December the 25th, 2025, targeted Islamic State affiliates in the northwest, degrading operational capabilities through precision hits informed by shared intelligence. Yet analysts say persistent banditry, Lakurawa group resurgence, and cross-regional insurgencies underscores that external strikes alone cannot resolve socio-economic drivers fueling instability. They reveal that banditry and terrorism in Sokoto and the Northwest persists despite the intervention, as militants exploit vast forests for mobility and use human shields, evading sustained Nigerian operations. For this conversation, I'm joined by security expert Dr. Dixon Osage to help examine the security situation in Nigeria since the U.S. military intervention in Sokoto State. Thank you for joining us tonight. There's been a world of reaction trailing the U.S. strikes on terrorist enclaves in Sokoto up to this moment. Can you say indeed that the bandits are on the back foot already and that 2025 is ending with significant improvement in security across the country?
I didn't get your question. Please come again.
I'm asking, from what we've seen with the U.S. military strike and then all the uproar about it, can you say that indeed the bandits are at the back foot already, that 2025 is ending with perhaps good improvement in security across the country?
Thank you, Felicity. Good improvement, I must tell you, because the psychological part of this U.S. bombardment is a very good one for the Nigerian government, because these terrorist guys, they've been, messing up with our territorial space for a very long time. And here we have the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force putting in their best in the past 16 years to eliminate these guys from our territorial space. But it seems their best is not good enough. But I strongly believe that the bombardment from the Tomahawk a few days ago on Christmas Eve is a very good one. And I tell you, it's really causing a big problem in the enemy's den, because one thing we need to understand is that these guys, they need logistic supply, they need fighters, they also need a comfort zone. And I think that Tomahawk dislodged them from their comfort zone, which is very good in the area of counter-terrorism, because when you give them time to plan and regroup, you are giving them an opportunity to, hit the government security forces. So for me, Felicity, the Tomahawk is a form of psychological deterrence, and I've seen a lot of these criminal guys from the past few days migrating from their government space and trying to relocate down west, and also relocating other parts of the northern zone. So the Nigerian military and the Nigerian U.S. military should keep on this bombardment and ensure that these guys do not have time to regroup and attack the Nigerian government security forces.
Curious though, this is one strike, and we've had a whole security architecture in this country overhauled repeatedly, trying to address this situation. And you say, of course, it is not just the strike. They need logistics, they need intelligence and all of that for them to operate. So are you premising the improvement in the security architecture on this one strike from the United States? And would you encourage more strikes in said collaboration with the Nigerian government?
Fantastic. Felicity, you see, just a tweet from Donald Trump put the Nigerian government in a state of unrest, and a lot of them woke up from their slumber. And I think we welcome more tweets from Donald Trump. I personally welcome more tweets from Donald Trump. If it's only going to protect lives and property of the Nigerian people, it's a welcome development, because that tweet made a lot of difference from the east, west, and north. And the Tomahawk, was just introduced to the Nigerian soil last week, and it's already causing a lot of disarray in the enemy camp. So for me, I think they should keep on the bombardment, because one beautiful thing about the bombardment is that these guys, they'll be disorganized. And when it comes to counterterrorism, you need to first of all disorganize these guys, demobilize them, resource them, and as well demotivate them. And I think as we speak, they are highly demotivated. But one thing I also advise the Nigerian military to do is that they shouldn't just allow these bombardments to go to bed. Once the Nigerian Air Force and the United States Air Force and naval commandos are sheltering these guys, the Nigerian ground troops must go to the government space where these guys are taking shelter from, and ensure that they clean up that environment. It's a common practice in the military. When you go into the enemy's camp, after bombardment and elimination of these guys, you go for sweeping. So the Nigerian military and the ground forces should start going for sweeping and ensure that such territory, the terrorist guys should not come back to that territory. And this has been happening for a very long time, whereby the Nigerian military conquer and they abandon the territory. So right now, any territory this Tomahawk is going to eliminate, and also wherever the government takes over from this criminal element, they must not abandon such territory. They should ensure that they develop that territory and presence of government in that territory.
All right. One sore point in the conversation around insecurity and the U.S. intervention, excuse me, the disconnect between Nigerian government's narrative and that of the U.S., saying that these killings are Christian genocide. That's one sore point in the conversation. But the question is not around the genocide conversation, is rather asking you if that label still really has an issue. I mean, it's still of relevance if we're able to deal a significant blow to the terrorists, like you're saying.
Well, when Boko Haram sprang up, you see, it amazes me. I've seen a lot of spokespersons for Boko Haram. Boko Haram and this criminal element, they've been killing Nigerians from all nooks and crannies. They've been killing Christians as well. And all of a sudden, we have spokespersons from the government, spokespersons from other parts of the country, you know, defending the killers of Nigerian people, defending the killers of Christians. We don't know. They really don't understand what these guys' plans are, because every company or every organization has its missions and vision, and these guys have a long-time plan. In 2014, Felicity, when Boko Haram leader went on air and said, kill them, kill the infidels, kill the unbelievers, kill the Christians. When you see them, eliminate them. That's a genocidal statement. And such acts were carried out during the early days of Boko Haram. So Nigeria has been experiencing genocide, and the figures and the facts and figures are out there. But for me, I agree with Donald Trump's labeling. But if we don't want to, accept such labeling, then we should go to work. Let's start speaking to the Supreme Muslim Council to speak to their people about the hate preaching in their various mosques and gatherings.
Dr. Sagi, I'm trying to interject here because we are time pressed. The conversation around genocide is one that has been very divisive. And the context of this conversation this evening is primarily on the time span of that Trump's intervention up until now. And whether classified as genocide or not, that's where I wanted you to speak on. Does it really matter if we dismantle these evil people?
It matters. Let's dismantle them, first of all, and ensure that they are all wiped out from our territorial space. They all have an agenda. What do they want? What are they looking for? So when you ask such questions and say, what do they want? And what are they looking for? Why are they shedding blood? Why are they, killing a lot of people from our space here? You get to know that they have an objective and they have a mission. Take that word. They have a mission and they have an objective. And that is what the government should start looking at. If the Nigerian government think that Donald Trump is wrong for labeling them, then let them go into the mission and vision of this terrorist group and, unravel the reason why these guys are carrying out these killings. But for me, the killings of Christians must stop. The killings of Muslims must also stop, so that Nigeria will breathe again as a country. But we must not allow these guys to remain in our territorial space. Wipe them out by day, by noon, and by night, so that Nigeria will breathe again.
Doc, thank you very much for your time. We're grateful for it. To legal matters now, the Federal High Court has remanded former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, alongside two others at the Kuje Custodial Facility. Justice Emeka Wite ordered their remand after they were arraigned on allegations of money laundering involving over 8.7 billion naira. My colleague, Joshua Maraye, has details.
It was a dramatic turn of events at the Federal High Court as former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, appeared before a judge in the courtroom he once supervised. Malami was arraigned alongside his son, Abubakar Abdulaziz Malami, and an associate, Hajia Bashir Asabe, on a 16-count charge of alleged money laundering brought by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The defendants pleaded not guilty to all charges. Counsel to the defendant, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, made an oral application for bail, telling the court that a former bail application had already been filed and served on the prosecution. Daudu argued that the alleged offences are non-capital and that the defendants are responsible citizens who pose no flight risk. But the prosecution counsel, Ekere Nacho, opposed the oral application, describing the case as involving serious financial crimes and compliance transaction. He told the court that issues such as flight risk and interference with investigation must be proven through affidavit evidence, not oral submission. In his ruling, Justice Emeka Nwite declined the oral bail request and ordered that the defendants be remanded at the Kuje Custodial Facility. The court adjourned the matter to January 2nd, 2026 for the hearing of the formal bail application.
Of course, we are pleased with the outcome of the ruling. As we all know, bail is entirely at the discretion of the court, and the court, in its wisdom, feels strongly that in the circumstance, the prosecution should respond. Why not? We are pleased with it.
While Nigerians will be counting down to the new year in their respective homes, the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, as well as two of his associates, will be counting down to the new year in the nation's custodial facility. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Tonight returns after the short break. Do stay with us. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu insists on implementation of new tax laws in January 2026, despite criticism from Nigerians. Court postpones bail hearing, remands former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami and son, in Kuje facility. And U.S. Secretary General charges world leaders to prioritize peace over war amid mounting global crisis. Business owners operating within the Federal Capital Territory are raising concerns over what they describe as conflicting enforcement and alleged double taxation by the Abuja Municipal Area Council and the FCT Department of Public Health. While both authorities insist they are operating within their legal boundaries, business owners say they are caught in the middle of this and are calling for harmonization of the taxation process. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, completes this report.
Operators of restaurants, malls, hospitality businesses and other workplaces. For years, they have struggled to understand who is legally approved to receive payment for revenues, whether the Abuja Municipal Area Council or the Federal Capital Territory Administration. Business owners say the conflict has created confusion, court cases and sanctions that are crippling their operations.
AMA could tell you they are the ones in charge of certain revenue collection, and FCT will also tell you they are in charge. So
immediately when we made the payment, then the AMAC, they came with their sanction. And we told them, okay, why are you causing confusion all around? See our payment. We have make payment with these so people on the same thing.
At the center of the controversy are two government bodies with jurisdiction claims over the issuance of notices regarding environmental and occupational health.
The court also was clear when it stated that in Deviani versus AMAC also, that AMAC does not have the right to issue notices with respect to food handlers test in the FCT, and the fact is clear.
While the Public Health Department of the Federal Capital Territory Administration has organized this meeting to enlighten stakeholders on the position of the law, AMAC, however, denies overlapping its boundaries, insisting that there is no jurisdictional conflict and that its actions are legal.
They are applying a particular judgment, and that is what I want to actually address. That gives them the power to do what they are doing. The Kentucky judgment. The Kentucky judgment only based its judgment on the June's judgment, and it restricted its judgment to that of medical fitness. But the FCT Public Health Department have gone beyond what the judgment is saying.
Whether the issue lies in legal interpretation or overlapping mandates, stakeholders are now calling for government-led harmonization process and a unified enforcement structure that protects public health without crippling their businesses. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
Thank you, Idong. 3 secondary school students from Borno State, all affected by the decade-long insurgency, have created an artificial intelligence-powered fire detection system. The device is designed to save lives and protect property by enabling rapid emergency response. The students whose schooling was repeatedly disrupted by insurgent attacks say their personal experiences with displacement inspired them to develop practical solutions to safety challenges in Northeast communities. News Center's Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
Fire outbreaks remain a national challenge, affecting towns, villages, and displaced persons camps. Delayed emergency response often results in loss of life and destruction of property worth billions of naira. The AI system monitors environmental data in real time, predicts potential fires, and automatically sends alert to a preset emergency contact.
It can detect and sense excess or abnormal smoke and also early stage fire, so as to bring quick response from the emergency services. We came up with this system that is AFCT to help our schools, for example, my school, Future Prowess, so as to save lives and properties.
Too often, there is no any alert, no chance to respond, and no way to stop the loss. This shared reality to bring the three of us together and innovate an AI fire detection system.
Tijani Ashemi from Gubio, together with Aisha Ghana from Damboa and Hadiza Ibrahim in Maiduguri, developed the AI fire detector to address this growing concern.
These innovations is actually a game changer. I haven't seen it anywhere because they've actually embedded artificial intelligence and a sensor, which is a very important thing. You know, before a fire spread, we actually had that last year, was it, that we had the fire outbreak in the market. Imagine we had this. It could have saved a lot of livelihoods and even lives.
The device can be adapted for homes, schools, shops, and humanitarian facilities, making it versatile for different community needs.
Yes, you need to collaborate with more people, and that includes investors. We keep learning from failures. The more failures, the better, faster, and with that, the sky is the limit. These kids can build Africa.
The AI fire detector is a breakthrough innovation that demonstrates the determination of young people in Borno State to overcome adversity through education and technology.
While innovative ideas emerge from Africa, the main challenge is securing investment and translating those ideas into practical solutions that will salvage humanity, a responsibility as well as a challenge on both the government and the private sector. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umoru Kirawa.
River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has appointed Christopher Green as the new Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, filling a vacancy left after the previous holder, Dagogo Iboroma SAN, was affected by a Supreme Court judgment leading to his removal after the emergency rule. Christopher Green, previously Commissioner for Sports, will also continue to oversee the Sports Ministry until a new commissioner is appointed. According to a statement by the State Ministry of Information, the move is part of a minor cabinet reshuffle aimed at ensuring continuity in governance and strengthening key ministries in Rivers State, as approved by the last State Executive Council meeting for the year 2025. Staying with Rivers politics, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has assured residents that past leadership mistakes will be addressed in 2027. Speaking during a thank-you visit to the people of Khana in Khana local government area, Wike emphasized that leaders are elected to serve the will of the people, not personal interests. He stated that they will not make the same mistake again at the state level in 2027. Wike also urged residents to continue supporting their leaders, adding that his visit was not political, but his gesture of gratitude for Ghana's support of President Bola Tinubu in 2023. He noted that the community's backing during a challenging period has brought development, including good roads and a new University of Environment. In Lagos State, a fire outbreak has been reported at Arena Markets in the Bolade area of Oshodi in Lagos. The State Fire and Rescue Service said it received a distress call at 5:50 p.m. on Tuesday and sent firefighting crews to the scene. According to the official statement by the Controller of Fire Services, units have already arrived to battle the blaze. The fire affected a section of the market made up of 10 container shops used mainly for clothing storage and sales. The flames were confined to those shops, and firefighters were able to control the situation without it spreading to other parts of the market. There are no reports of casualty at this time. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take you now across Africa. The year 2025 witnessed a flurry of elections across the continent, most of them disputed, with political unrest leading to 2 successful coups. In this special report, reviewing the state of elections in Africa in 2025, News Centro's Bongani Sesiba highlights the curious decline in democratic values on the continent and how even the most conservative countries appear to have adopted dictatorial methods to retain power and the civil backlash that followed.
Across the continent, elections in 2025 exposed both democratic gains and deep-rooted political tensions. In Cameroon, 92-year-old President Paul Biya maintained his grip on power despite growing concerns. In Tanzania, protests demanding political freedoms turned deadly with reports of civilians killed during clashes with security forces. Madagascar faced its own uncertainty after the ouster of President Andry Rajoelina, underscoring the fragility of its political institutions. And in Guinea-Bissau, a sudden coup raised fresh questions over whether these upheavals reflect genuine revolt or attempts by political elites to retain power. Benin was not left out of the recent turmoil. An attempted coup shook the Western African country, prompting Nigeria to intervene. This incident further exposes the ongoing issues within African regimes, highlighting that citizens are increasingly fed up with the current leadership.
Le comité militaire pour la refondation CMR, réuni ce jour, dimanche 7 décembre 2025, à Cotonou, a délibéré et décidé ce qu'il suit. Monsieur Patrice Talon est démis de ses fonctions de président de la République.
But there were bright spots. Malawi delivered one of the continent's most peaceful elections, with President Lazarus Chakwera conceding defeat to opposition leader Peter Mutharika, a major win for democratic maturity. In Ivory Coast, President Alassane Ouattara secured a 4th term after 2 major rivals were disqualified. Egypt held Senate elections, while Comoros and Burundi conducted parliamentary polls in January. Togo followed with its own electoral cycle in February. Still, public frustrations remained widespread. Protests across Tanzania, Cameroon, and parts of West Africa highlight growing anger over leaders who refuse to step aside, often resorting to repression to hold on to power. The violence and disputes raise a pressing question: why do so many African leaders cling to office, even at the expense of their citizens' demands? With major polls upcoming in 2026, including Uganda's early year presidential vote and Zambia's general elections, the continent may once again be tested. As Africa looks forward, the central question remains: will democratic values deepen, or will the strongman politics continue to define its future? For News Central, Bongani Sesiba.
Ezekiel Wise, a policy analyst, he joins me now to speak to elections across Africa in 2025. Thank you very much for being here. I mean, attempted coup, successful coup, it's always one issue or the other. What would you say are some of the underlying factors contributing to the decline in democratic values in Africa?
Well, it doesn't matter the type of government you have. If the people don't trust their leaders, then it's going to have a level of agitation that is leading to this unrest, the coup. So what needs to happen? The African leaders need to be responsive, not to the foreign interest, for the people that they are holding themselves out as their head of state or their president or prime minister. And oftentimes what happens is there's a lot of foreign interests that come into Africa and run Africans from their main living room to the boys' quarters. And then the people are watching this stuff. And so the confidence, there's not a confidence thing, there's not a trust factor. So they have to earn the people's trust in order for them to do the job they're supposed to do. They're supposed to serve the people and not the people to serve them. And you could say it, some of these presidents, want to go around as if they have to be worshipped, they have to be served. No, you are there to serve the people. Address their needs, and even if you can address their needs, then you speak to them in a manner to know this is a challenge, but I'm in it with you as long as it takes and whatever it takes.
We're joined in the studio now by Victor Okai. He is going to join this conversation and speak to elections across Africa. Thank you very much for being here. I'll jump off my question to AGK and just ask you about the elections itself, the continuing dispute that we've seen across the continent, the failure, the rate of failure in the 2025. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. What are your thoughts?
So what you see
It's good deal, okay.
civilian rule all the way through. And then the civilians became, if you like, lords unto themselves. And so a lot of misrule started, and so that gave room.
Okay, I'm sorry, sir. I'm told there's an issue with your mic, so we'll get a technical person to look at it quickly. But I'll come back to you, AGK, and just ask your assessment of the impact of these disputed elections on stability and development in Africa. Are we going to be able to get past these issues?
Well, again, it's going to be, everything is about trust. Do the Africans trust their leaders? And then do you even have the system on reporting elections? Oftentimes you hear about these elections, but they have made up their mind who they call, who's going to become the winner. That's I call them. It's not election, it's more about the selection. So you look at if an election is happening in one part of the country, oftentimes they said they don't have the ballot box or the counting is not going on, and then they declare a winner. So there are a lot of things that needs to happen, but it's about the people. The people, do they believe in the system that is electing those people that they are now have to depend on or look up to in order to get things done for them? Every election is, every politics is local, and that local thing is about how do you select or elect those who are going to stand on your behalf to get certain things done. Africa hasn't been able to do this. Even before the colonial people came, villages were electing people to represent them. So now in the modern time, we have abused that opportunity, and that's why you have so many unrest. That's why you have so many agitation. Again, like I said earlier, many African leaders are in bed with foreigners more than they are with their own local people. All right. And now people are beginning to see it.
Okay, Dr. Hai. Your thoughts on African leaders being in bed with foreign? Finish your earlier thoughts to the question that I asked you before we went off, and then add to that this being in bed with foreign powers, and if it still continues.
Okay, so like I said, there's this unending, circle. At independence, of course, full-blown democracy and all that. And then the civilian regimes or constitutionally
Okay. This is a bit embarrassing, sir. Yes, the sound is still bad. I apologize sincerely. All right, AGK, your thoughts on that? Can we move beyond these crises and recreate a democracy that would work for us, despite the many challenges, developmental and otherwise, that we confront?
Yes, you can, because it's a human factor. But the thing again is Africans are more interested in building individuals, strong individuals, as opposed to strong institutions. That's why you have presidents in Africa, for instance, Paul Biya in Cameroon, that is, I think globally he's the longest serving president in the world. And then, so the thing is, how do you remove him? The way to remove him, because you don't have institutions that are strong enough to question what he does, so he will end up serving a president for life. And, and then, or the military will jump in. But then even when the military jumps in, the question is, these are people who are in uniform. These are people from your own particular country. What is their attitude? So you see that even when they wear the abada or the uniform, they are still haven't changed mentally to know that there's got to be a difference. There's got to be a trust. There's got to be a hope. There's, again, when you eliminate the dependency of African leaders to be in bed with foreigners, I cannot say that enough. You look around Africa, who are the people running shows in Africa? You got the Turkish, you have the Indians, you have the Lebanese, you have the Chinese. So what does that say to the African people? You say you want to build capacity, but you're not building capacity with your natives. You're building capacity with these people from other countries who are coming over there, bribing their way into your government and hijacking it for their own benefit. Nobody does that except for Africans. And it's a shame. In 21st century, it shouldn't be. Again, somebody shouldn't come to your home if you have respect for your home and kick you to the boys' quarters. How many Africans have gone to Lebanon and gotten a contract, or India, or China? But as soon as these people come into Africa, they are able to take over and run things because they are in bed with the political people.
All right. Ejike, I'll come back to you. Dr. Kai, let's hope that the mic is better now. Please continue your thoughts. That is very thoughtful. So, Director, can you confirm it's still not good?
Well, more time for me.
We apologize. We'll just have to finish the conversation with Ejike. All right.
If I speak out louder, would it help? Would you be able to pick it up on the microphone?
All right. Just talk to us about the implication of the rise of military-led governments in Africa.
Really, again, give example with Nigeria. 6 years after independence, there was a coup, and that wasn't the only one. There were other ones. But again, even if you look at Kenya, for instance, Kenya is one African country that's never had any military coup. But how well is Kenya doing? Because Kenya has had civilian rule since it became independent, but Kenya leaders are weak. They are in bed with foreigners. So it doesn't really matter what the form of government. If you are not responsive to the people, then the people are going to, at some point, begin to have agitation and want to overthrow you. So the Africans have to go back and look at their people. This is your people.
I'm so sorry. That's the much time will permit us for this conversation. Thank you for obliging us.
Well,
and Dr. Wike in the studio, thank you very much. We apologize again. Thank you. All right, to our top stories. One of our top stories tonight, the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, has urged world leaders to shift resources away from destruction and towards development, peace and people. This serves as part of his New Year's message as the world enters 2026 amid mounting global crisis. Guterres underscores the scale of global suffering, noting that more than a quarter of humanity now lives in conflict-affected areas and more than 200 million people require humanitarian assistance, while nearly 120 million have been forcibly displaced by war, crisis, disaster, or persecution. He has also asked the leaders to play their part and resolve to get their priorities straight, pointing to what he described as a profound imbalance. Tonight returns with business, sport, and entertainment. Do stay with us.
This segment is brought to you by MoneyPoint.
Business now, Nigeria's economy is expected to expand by 4.49% in 2026, compared with an estimated 3.89% in 2025, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. The projected growth is anchored on ongoing reforms, stronger private sector investment, and improved macroeconomic stability. The outlook depends on consistent fiscal and monetary policies, including full execution of the 2025 to 2027 medium-term expenditure framework. Structural reforms are anticipated anticipated to attract capital inflows, boost revenues and stabilize foreign exchange, while a gradual easing of monetary policy could reduce borrowing costs. We also tell you that Nigeria's net foreign exchange inflows plunged by 54.5% month-on-month in August 2025, falling to $3.74 billion from $8.22 billion in July. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria has shown the drop was driven by weaker dollar supply from autonomous sources and increased outflows. Total FX inflows declined to $7.09 billion from $10.67 billion, while outflows rose to $3.36 billion from $2.46 billion. Tightening overall FX liquidity. Transactions through the CBN also eased, with inflows dropping to $3.04 billion and outflows climbing to about $1.94 billion, leaving a lower net inflow of $1.10 billion for the month. Well, we'll bring you market reports in a bit. Just stay with us. This market maintained its upward momentum, with the all-share index advancing to 0.42% to close at 155,034.72 points, lifting market capitalization to 98.843 trillion naira, of course, with a differential of 0.42%. Now, the modest gain reflects a sustained bargaining, hunting, and, of course, selective positioning across sectors, even as profit-taking surfaced in some banking names. So now look at sectoral performance, starting with the banking sector that actually slips 0.48%. Pressured by mild sell-offs in large cap counters after recent gains. Insurance outperformed with 1.58%, as we see it right here on renewed interests in stocks like ICO and Cornerstone. Now, oil and gas added 0.33%, supported by modest buying in Seplat and Awando, while consumer goods advanced 0.84%, buoyed by improved sentiment in Nigerian breweries and Dangote sugar. Industrial goods also gained 0.77% as investors picked up cement stocks, reinforcing the market's cautiously bullish tone. That's it on business. I am Lekon Omabanjo.
Nigeria completed the perfect Group C campaign at AFCON 2025 with a dominant 3-1 win over Uganda, eliminating the Cranes from the tournament. Super Eagles manager Eric Shell made 7 changes to his team and was rewarded with a strong performance. Striker Paul Onuachu opened the scoring in the 28th minute, firing past the iconic Dennis Onyango in the Ugandan goal after a cutback from Fisayo Delebashiru. Nigeria's grip tightened after half-time, and matters worsened for Uganda when substitute goalkeeper Salim Magula was sent off for handling outside the area. Rafael Onyedika scored twice, both assisted by Samuel Chukwueze to seal victory. Roger Mato's fine run and chipped finish was the only consolation as Nigeria advanced confidently to the knockout stage. Tunisia and Tanzania booked their places in the AFCON knockout stage after a tense 1-1 draw. A cagey first half produced little attacking quality. The deadlock was broken just before the break when Tunisia were awarded a penalty following a VAR review, and Gabi converted to secure his second international goal. Tanzania responded early in the second half as Faisal Salum fired home from distance after a neat pass from Novatus Miloshi. With neither side able to find a winner, the draw suited both sides. Tunisia finished second in Group C behind Nigeria, while Tanzania advanced as one of the best third-place teams at the moment. Now moving to England, Manchester City are closing on agreeing terms with Bournemouth to sign Antoine Semenyo for £65 million. City's move for the Ghana forward, 25, is at an advanced stage with talks over the past 48 hours aimed at closing the final details of the deal. City have also agreed to pay 65 million release clause, while the players' representatives were in Manchester on Monday finalizing personnel terms. Discussion continued today with sources indicating that the total agreement is now close, with the January transfer window due to open on Thursday. Semenyo, who is currently playing against Chelsea at the moment, has been keen on securing his future by the 1st of January, but it remains to be seen whether the Cherries push for the attacker to play against Arsenal on Saturday the 3rd of January. Now finally on sports tonight, 2-time heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua is currently receiving medical attention at a private high-end hospital in Lagos following his involvement in a car crash on Monday that resulted in 2 fatalities. Joshua was reportedly on his way to his ancestral home in Shagamu in Ogun State when the accident happened just before the Shagamu interchange on the busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which claimed the lives of 2 members of his inner circle. Kevin Abdulateef Ayodele, his personal trainer, and Sinagami, his strength and conditioning coach. Joshua's condition is not known, but the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olokbade, paid him a visit today, while the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun, revealed that the state is sparing no expense to ensure the 36-year-old receive the best medical attention. And that's all on Sports News tonight. I am Okweoluwa Adibari. Entertainment is next with Edewo.
And on entertainment. Now, amid the growing complaints from filmmakers and producers over alleged cinema bias, the Cinema Exhibitors Association of Nigeria scene has finally responded. Now, the debate sparked by industry voices like Tony Abraham, Ni Akimalayo, and Ini Edo, with other industry players as well, centers on claims that some films are unfairly sidelined in favor of selected titles when it comes to screening schedules and promotion. Now, in its official statement, scene pushed back against the allegations, stressing that box office success is not driven by favoritism, that instead the association explained the factors such as marketing strength, audience demand, and film's existing fan base play a major role in determining screen time and performance. Now, that conversation has sparked a whole can of worms, and people are still talking about it. But yes, we'll definitely bring you the update as it goes on. Now, speaking about something that caught the attention of social media, the 2 sons of Sean Diddy Combs, Justin and Christine Combs, are stepping into the spotlight with a new docu-series that will chronicle their perspective of their father's dramatic fall from grace. Now, Zeus Network has released a teaser for the series expected to come out in 2026, which follows the brothers through Diddy's federal racketeering and sex trafficking trial that ended with the split verdict of a 15-month prison sentence. The trailer shows emotional moments, courtroom chaos, the theme of family loyalty and betrayal. Zeus CEO Lemur Plummer says the project is not an endorsement, but a platform for the brothers to share their personal story. Quite an interesting one, if I should say so myself. And we can wait. We'll definitely get to see that when it comes out in 2026. Well, that's all we have in entertainment tonight.
And that's our offering tonight. As always, we would appreciate your feedback and your eyewitness report. Please share them using the number on your screen. You can follow us on all socials at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274. We're on Alvo TV and streaming live on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Good night.